friends, Peggy Hall back with you from the healthyamerican.org. I don't want you to give your power away. This has really been the theme of my Healthy American channel since I launched it back in 2020. Yes, it was May 6th, I believe. It was exactly 60 days after this fraudulent, as I will call it, state of emergency was declared in the state of California because the grounds and the data and the evidence for this emergency didn't meet the demands of the law. So I launched the Healthy American to expose the government corruption. And boy, oh boy, have we been on a ride. There has been so much going on. And I believe that all of it, the hogwash, as I call it, the bad guys, the evildoers, the puppet masters, they all are seeking one thing, and that is to take your power away, to steal your soul, to steal your joy. And the sad thing is, they don't even have to steal it, because think about it. So many people eagerly, willingly, excitedly, giddily gave away their power, gave away their rights. So in this broadcast, I want to talk about a popular narrative in the media right now. And what concerns me is not so much that people are fighting against it, but it's the concept and the idea that underlies this fight, which is people think or people are giving their power away to these international organizations, and it's up to you individually to stand strong. So that's what we're going to tackle today. And before we do that, let's tackle taking care of the visible signs of aging. So if this is of interest to you, follow me as we are hopping on over to Dermal One. Let me share my screen. Dermal One, that's the number one.com/Peggy. And I wanted to bring you this sponsor message for those of you that would like to look on the outside as good as you feel on the inside. And looking younger was once thought to be just in the realm for the rich and famous, so the celebrities could stay ageless and have access to all of these costly treatments and aggressive protocols and so forth. But that's not at all what I'm sharing with you here. In fact, you can watch this free tutorial over at dermal1.com/Peggy. And it is all about a game-changing discovery that is finally leveling the playing field. So more and more women are learning to turn off their body's aging switch. So this latest anti-aging trend is not about aggressive treatments or expensive creams, but it's simply it is a daily ritual that takes less than a minute to perform, and you can do it just at home. So if you've noticed your friends looking better, maybe they're doing this. And what I want you to do is listen to the doctor. So here's a surgeon here in California, and he has this breakthrough discovery on how women can help reduce the effects of a skin aging hormone at home. So it's a do-it-yourself tutorial, a how-to. It's been viewed and shared and tested by thousands of women worldwide, and now you can do the same. The transformations they report are quite extraordinary, such as firmer feeling skin, fewer visible wrinkles. Some have reported thicker looking hair and increased energy as well, something I'm always interested in. So that said, everybody's body reacts differently. So your results may depend on a variety of factors, and you repeat this ritual daily to get the full effect. So if you're interested in looking significantly younger without the cost and the hassle of going to, a plastic surgeon, then you can try this shortcut at home. Go to dermal1.com/Peggy and see if this is a good fit for you. I will also have a link in the description box for you below. Friends, over the last, it seems like 2 years, there have been a lot of headlines all about pushing back against the WHO. And I need to offer a disclaimer for YouTube and the censors, because they told me when I went through the re-education program, yes, I had to take a test and everything, that everything the WHO says and the CDC and the FDA, we have to accept as the truth. So we'll just put that on the table. So I have that out there. And of course, I know you're smart enough to read between the lies, as I've coined it. And what's happened let me know if you ever got something to sign or if you reached out to a public servant, as I call them, those who are serving evil and not serving the public. Let me know if you personally have taken any action against, stop the WHO and defund the WHO. Kind of reminds me of defund the police. So this narrative has been out there, and let me state clearly, I'll probably state it twice to make sure that those in the back get it. I am in favor of taking action. Absolutely. I think it's important for people to take action in a way that makes sense for them. So let me just state that again, that taking action is an important thing to do, in my opinion, because you're not just complaining, you are getting in there, you're putting forth your beliefs and perspectives, and you actually are involved. So I'm 100% in favor of taking action. What I'm 100% against is fear-mongering, all right? So I'm against the sky is falling and the constant dread and putting people in the spin cycle. And how do I put it? Blowing things out of proportion. I would tend to think you would agree with me on that. The other thing that I'm against is the concept that it takes a worldwide, I'm not going to use the word global because I don't believe in global anything. That also troubles me when people are talking about global solutions. No, these all are the most local remedies that you can take. In fact, it's up to you personally. So this concept that we need some kind of global movement, I don't believe that. What can happen is that people believe that somebody else is going to take care of it for them. So if they're a part of this global movement, somebody else is doing the work. And the global movement doesn't work because that is a type of communistic control or totalitarian, fascist, fill in the blank. You can use all the isms, totalitarianism of a top-down approach. It doesn't work. It's the most local, the most individual unit of power and action is what works, in my opinion and in my experience. So think about it. All of these last few years, you probably made choices that might not have been comfortable. There might have been a lot of hardships and difficult consequences that went along with it. I know that's certainly the case for me. But it was up to you individually to make those choices. I've spoken on this channel. I'll link the video for you at the end of this about how I turned the tables on the tyrants and how I was being threatened with being arrested for trespassing, for showing up at a public pool outside, breathing oxygen. And the whole thing doesn't even make sense. And I had thought about, I'm going to go sue the city and all of that. But the only thing I could really control is my own actions. So I showed up without suffocating myself. I was breathing. And this was prior to them, slapping this arrest warrant or whatever on me. And so I did what I could do, and I found a different pool. That was my action. Now, I have been fighting to defend our freedom. I have been educating people about their rights, especially at these places of public accommodation. And I do believe as each individual stands up again and again and again and again, that can have an impact. So what it would take at that community pool is maybe a dozen or 24 or 200 people individually showing up at the pool saying, I'm not going to do this. You don't have a right. And hopefully like that dripping on a stone is going to get through to these imbeciles, basically, because they're so ignorant they can't even have a rational thought and understand that they're violating the law. But to have 200 people show up all at once and demand entry, that doesn't work. And I don't believe that's necessarily the right way of going about it. It's each individual standing strong, not giving your power away. Let's talk about the WHO. That's been the narrative. And I will applaud the fact that in our legislature in the United States and in other countries, in the UK and other places, there are more and more responses coming out saying we're not going to go along with the WHO. Let me applaud that. Everybody, are we acknowledging that? Okay, because I don't want to read those comments saying blah, blah, blah. However, that whole concept is giving a false identity and false power to the WHO. Repeat after me. The WHO has no power in your life or in my life. I've spoken about this at length in so many videos over the last couple of years about the whole concept of international treaties. They are unenforceable. What, is the WHO going to come knock on your door? No, they're not. There is no enforcement mechanism for these international treaties other than sanctions. And the United States is still the most powerful country. So if anybody puts a sanction on the United States, it's not going to have any impact anyway. Let me talk about another aspect. Whether or not the United States signs on to a WHO treaty and whether or not those regulations are something that are abhorrent, the fact is you personally have to stand up against it. And let me say something else. Regardless of whether there are these treaties that are legitimate or illegitimate or signed or not signed, the United States was already going along with the WHO regardless of any treaty. The CDC was following what the WHO was saying. So it already was happening absent any kind of treaty. And the concept of the WHO is now going to remove the sovereignty of the Constitution in the United States, it doesn't even make sense. That is called going to war, okay? When one country takes over the sovereignty of another, it is a war. Now, I would agree with those who say we are at war. It's a covert war. It is, under the radar for some people. They don't even know that we are at war. We are at war, and it is a war of truth against deception, right against wrong, good against evil. That's been going on since the creation of mankind. And yes, that is happening. I don't dispute it. And I think it's great that more and more people are understanding that there are these self-appointed international agencies, but putting all of that power and energy to tell them, you leave me alone, you are by default saying that they have power over you. So repeat after me. The WHO is insignificant. It has zero power over your life. Your health department is going to create its own illegal, illegitimate, unlawful orders, whether or not the WHO agrees with it. So I just want to help everyone understand that it actually doesn't matter what the UN is doing, what the WEF is doing, the WEFers, as I call them, the New World Disorder. What matters is you individually, when the time comes, saying, I ain't doing it, I ain't doing it, and I ain't doing it. And I've given every remedy that I can come up with in accordance with the law, and many that are tricky ways of outwitting the nitwits. I've been teaching and educating and encouraging and empowering and exhorting you to follow these tactics over the last 4+ years. That's where the rubber meets the road, is your choices. To say that, oh, we got rid of the WHO and now there's never going to be any kind of sloshing of the hogwash again, that's magical thinking. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is they're going to continue to push it with or without the WHO. So the purpose of this broadcast was to remind you individually to stop giving your power away. Stop giving your energy and attention away. Stop thinking that the WHO is a big bad boogeyman that has control over your life. It has zero control. Did you elect those individuals? No. I want you to take back your power. Your school board has zero power over you, especially if you take your children out of school. All right. I've spoken so many times about standing up to your employer, standing up for your rights. I've got several active cases right now with clients who are seeking their legal immigration status, and they are standing for their rights, and they are not becoming a human pincushion. The law is clear. The law is on your side. I don't want any more laws, and I certainly don't want any more international organizations that are, an option to the WHO. So we'll have our own global health network. I don't even believe in that. Why do you need a global anything? Solutions are local. I can't even get along with the whole HOA board, all right, in my own community. How in the non-spinning world could I get along with some national organization? That is why these things work best the more local you can be. I also coined the term local and vocal. I think that's the most important thing to do. Know who's on your HOA, know who's on your water board, know who's on the school board, your city council. Get involved in those areas face to face with individuals. I've always said that the higher you go up the chain, even at the county level, certainly the state level and the national level, there's more and more distance. And it's not impossible to have those elected representatives be accountable to you. But you know, and I know that many of them have their own narratives and their own desires. And heaven knows I've exposed so many of the public servants and all of their corruption. I don't put my faith in any of these individuals. I seek to live a life that is full of purpose, which is why I come on this channel day in, day out, Monday through Friday. Join me 4 p.m. Pacific, because YouTube probably won't give you a notification. And this is something that I feel compelled to do: educate, uplift, inspire, encourage, empower, exhort. And those are positive actions. So thank you, everyone. I can't wait to read your comments about how you are holding on to your power, how you're not giving your power away. And I would say that the best way to maintain that power is to live a life of purpose, of joy, of meaning, and to take your focus off of these international organizations that really have no legitimacy, and focus on your own backyard and what you can do in your area and in your life to live your best life ever. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you being on board. Be sure to get on that free Substack, peggyhall.substack.com, and I'll see you in an upcoming broadcast.